ISKCON Samsthapanacharya, Beauty Founder Acharya, Savior of the whole world, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 10, Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwaraka, Text 25. Yada hi adharmena tamodiyo nrpa. Yada hi adharmena tamodiyo nrpa. Yada hi adharmena tamodiyo nrpa. Jivanti tatra eshaha hi sattvatah kila. Jivanti tatra esha hi sattvatah kila. Jivanti tatra esha hi sattvatah kila. Datte bhagam satyam rutam dayam yashah. Datte bhagam satyam rutam dayam yasho. Datte bhagam satyam rutam dayam yasho. Bhavaya rupani dadhad yuge yuge. Bhavaya rupani dadhad yuge yuge. Bhavaya rupani dadhad yuge yuge. Yada hi adharmena tamodhiyo nrpa. Jivanti tatraisha hi sattvatah kila. Datte bhagam satyam rutam dayam yasho. Bhavaya rupani dadhad yuge yuge. Yada hi adharmena tamodhiyo nrpa. Jivanti tatraisha hi sattvatah kila. Datte bhagam satyam rutam yata dayam yasho. Bhavaya rupani dadhad yuge yuge. Jivanti satraisha sattvatah kila. Bhavaya rupani dadhad yuge yuge. Rupani Tadak Yuge Yuge Yada, whenever, he assuredly adharmena, against the principles of God's will, tamahadiyaha, persons in the lowest material modes, nripaha, kings and administrators, jivanti, live like animals, tatra, thereupon, eshaha, he only, satvataha, transcendental, kila, certainly, dhatte, is manifested, bhagam, supreme power, satyam, truth, rutam, positiveness, dayam, mercy, yashaha, wonderful activities, bhavaya, for the maintenance, rupani, in various forms, dhadat, manifested, yuge, different periods, yuge and ages. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Avai Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Whenever there are kings and administrators living like animals in the lowest modes of existence, the Lord in His transcendental form manifests His supreme power. The truth positive shows special mercy to the faithful, performs wonderful activities, and manifests various transcendental forms as is necessary in different periods and ages. Kindly repeat. Whenever there are kings and administrators living like animals in the lowest modes of existence, the Lord in His transcendental form manifests His supreme power. The truth positive shows special mercy to the faithful, performs wonderful activities, and manifests various transcendental forms as is necessary in different periods and ages. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As mentioned above, the cosmic creation is the property of the Supreme Lord. This is the basic philosophy of Ishopanishad. Everything is the property of the Supreme Being. No one should encroach upon the property of the Supreme Lord. One should accept only what is kindly awarded by Him. Therefore, the earth or any other planet or universe is the absolute property of the Lord. The living beings are certainly His parts and parcels or sons, and thus every one of them has the right to live at the mercy of the Lord to execute His prescribed work. No one therefore can encroach upon the right of another individual man or animal without being so sanctioned by the Lord. The king or the administrator is the representative of the Lord to look after the management of the Lord's will. He must therefore be a recognized person like Maharaj Yudhishthira or Parikshit. Such kings have full responsibility and knowledge from authorities about the administration of the world. But at times, due to the influence of the ignorance modes of material nature, tamoguna, the lowest of the material modes, kings and administrators come into power without knowledge and responsibility. And such foolish administrators live like animals for the sake of their own personal interest. The result is that the whole atmosphere becomes surcharged with anarchy and vicious elements. Nepotism, bribery, cheating, aggression, and therefore famine, epidemic, war, and similar other disturbing features become prominent in human society. And the devotees of the Lord or the faithful are persecuted by all means. All these symptoms indicate the time of an incarnation of the Lord to re-establish the principles of religion and to vanquish the maladministrators. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. The Lord then appears in his transcendental form without any tinge of material qualities. He descends just to keep the state of his creation in a normal condition. The normal condition is that the Lord has provided each and every planet with all the needs of the native living beings. They can happily live and execute their predestined occupations to attain salvation at the end, following the rules and regulations mentioned in the revealed scriptures. The material world is created to satisfy the whims of the Nitya Baddha or everlasting conditioned souls, just as naughty boys are provided with playing cradles. Otherwise, there was no need of the material world. But when they become intoxicated with the power of the material science to exploit the resources unlawfully without the sanction of the Lord, and that also only for sense gratification, there is necessity of the Lord's incarnation to chastise the rebellious and to protect the faithful. When he descends, he exhibits superhuman acts just to prove his supreme right, and materialists like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu and Kamsa are sufficiently punished. He acts in a manner which no one can imitate. For example, the Lord, when he appeared as Rama, bridged the Indian Ocean. When he appeared as Krishna, from his very childhood, he showed superhuman activities by killing Putana, Aghasura, Shakatasura, Kaliya, etc. And then his maternal uncle Kamsa. When he was at Dwarka, he married 16,108 queens, and all of them were blessed with a sufficient number of children. The sum total of his personal family members amounted to about 100,000, popularly known as the Yadu Vamsha. And again, during his lifetime, he managed to vanquish them all. He is famous as the Govardhan Dhari, Hari, because he lifted at the age of only 7 the hill known as Govardhana. The Lord killed many undesirable kings in his time, and as a Kshatriya he fought valorously. He is famous as Asamurdhva, unparalleled. No one is equal to or greater than him. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimrandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamy Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschyata Deshatarne Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the ladies of Hastinapur, in continuation with the glories of the Lord, speaking about the glories of the Lord, are describing here about the Lord's activities, wonderful activities of his incarnation and many other opulences of the Lord. And in this verse, they are speaking about that whenever there are kings and administrators living like animals in the lowest modes of existence, the Lord in his transcendental form manifests his supreme power, the truth positive, shows special mercy to the faithful, performs wonderful activities, and manifests various transcendental forms as is necessary in different periods and ages. So this is exactly the same verse as what is stated in Bhagavad Gita by the Lord himself. In the 4th chapter, the Lord describes Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata. The same verse is described, the meaning is the same in this verse also. Whenever there is decline in religious principles, actually the main people in the society who should see to that religious principles are being followed by the general mass is the leaders, the kings. And so here it is particularly mentioned, whenever there are kings and administrators living like animals, and once the administrators, kings and administrators lives like animal, the citizens also will have the same, usually will have the same characters. And during that time, it is said here that the Lord appears in different forms, manifest various transcendental forms as is necessary in different periods and ages. As is necessary in different periods and ages. That is, like we see how Hiranyakashipu took the boon that he should not be killed by any weapons or anything. So many criteria were there. So, accordingly, the Lord manifested in a form, transcendental form, which was necessary for that time, at that time, to kill the demon. And in the same way, when Ravana also took benediction from Brahma that he should not be killed by so many criterias, but in all those things, he will forget to ask the boon not to be killed by a human being, because he thinks that human beings cannot harm me. And so the Lord appeared as a king, as a normal human being, but in the transcendental form. It's not a material form. And that's what Prabhupada explains in the Purport also. Prabhupada starts with describing about the Ishopanishad verse. Everything is the property of the Supreme Being. No one should encroach upon the property of the Supreme Lord. And one should accept only what is kindly awarded by Him, the Lord. So mainly, the cause of fall from religious principles is when one goes against this principle, Ishavasyam idam sarvam. When one does not recognize the existence of God, when one does not recognize that everything belongs to God, then he will start encroaching everything for his own sense gratification. So Prabhupada is especially pointing out in the starting the purport with that verse. And Prabhupada goes on saying, the living beings are certainly his part and parcel and or sons, and thus everyone of them has a right to live at the mercy of the Lord to execute his prescribed work. The Lord also created Varna and Ashrama for the living entities too, for the human beings to live according to the prescribed duties, based on their nature, based on their qualities. And when the living beings don't recognize that and go against that principle, then there is a decline in the religious principle. No one therefore can encroach upon the right of another individual man or animal without being so sanctioned by the Lord. So each and every person, each and every living entity has their own nature of work, nature of activities to be performed, and that is mentioned in the scriptures. And if one does not follow that and encroach upon others, then that is the starting of decline in religious principles. The king or the administrator is the representative of the Lord to look after the management of the Lord's will. He must therefore be a recognized person like Maharaj Yudhishthira or Parikshit. Such kings have full responsibility and knowledge from authorities about the administration of the world. So administrating is not just I can do whatever I want. There are mentioned in the scriptures about how one should rule the citizens. And the kings or the rulers should be guided by the representatives of the Lord. They are recognized as the representatives of the Lord. And so being the representative of the Lord, they should know the intentions of the Lord also. Like if a person is a representative of a company, he will speak in line with what the company is about. He is representing a company and he is speaking against the company or he is acting against the company, then he cannot be called as a representative. The king is a representative of the Lord means he should know what is the intention of the Lord. And he should represent or act according to those intentions or desires of the Lord, mission of the Lord. But at times, due to the influence of the ignorance mode of material nature, the lowest of the material modes, tamoguna, kings and administrators come into power without knowledge and responsibility, and such foolish administrators live like animals for the sake of their own personal interest. This again, as I said, Ishavasyam idam sarvam. They'll forget about the Lord. Shri Radha Govind ki jai. So they will start ruling or administrating in their own personal interest. The result is that the whole atmosphere becomes surcharged with anarchy and vicious elements. So that is the start of vicious activities. And what happens due to this? Within the society, there will be nepotism, bribery, cheating, aggression, all the bad activities. And as a result of all these things, the nature also will oppose with famine, epidemic, war, and similar other disturbing features. And these becomes prominent in human society. So, in midst of all these things, the devotees of the Lord or the faithful are persecuted by all means. The devotees who wants to follow the Lord's instruction, who have faith in the Lord, they will be persecuted by these administrators. All these symptoms indicate the time of an incarnation of the Lord to re-establish the principles of religion and to vanquish the maladministrators. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. So, this is what Prabhupada has explained in the first paragraph of the purport about how the glani happens, dharmasya glani, how it happens. There is certain things which are prescribed in the scriptures to be followed by the human beings, to be followed by the rulers. When they go against that, then there will be so much of disturbance in the human society, disturbance from the nature. And when it increases to the topmost level, then the Lord appears, incarnates, to re-establish the principles of religion. So, in the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, first chapter, the sages of Naimisharanya assembled at Naimisharanya to perform 1,000-year sacrifice. And what was the reason to perform that sacrifice? For the good of the people. Because they all thought Kali Yuga is coming next. And the qualities of Kali Yuga also they explains. And due to this, they wanted to perform 1,000-year sacrifice for the good of the people. And that sacrifice that they wanted to perform was to hear from Srimad Bhagavatam, from Suta Goswami. Because Suta Goswami has heard it from Shukadeva Goswami when he recited it to Parikshit Maharaj. So in the first chapter, when they are assembled, they will ask 6 questions to the Suta Goswami. And in that, the last question, the 6th question, what they ask is, Bruhi Yogeshware Krishne Brahmanye Dharmavarmani Swam Khasta Madhunopete Dharmakam Sharanam Gataha. Since Sri Krishna, the Absolute Truth, the Master of all mystic paths, has departed for his own abode, please tell us to whom the religious principles have now gone for shelter. Because so long the Lord was there on the material world performing pastimes, he was controlling the dharma also. So the sages are asking, now the Lord has departed to his own abode. So now, where the dharma has gone shelter of, has taken shelter of? To whom the dharma has taken shelter of? So, Suta Goswami replies in the in the 3rd chapter, Krishne swadhamopagate dharmagnanadibhi saha kalau nashtadrisham yesha puranarko adunoditaha. This Bhagavata Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. So very clearly Suta Goswami is saying, this Bhagavata Purana, which is as brilliant as sun, it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna. the sun has arisen after the departure of Lord Krishna. Because once the Lord departs, means the ignorance is becoming prominent. But Bhagavata is giving that light again. As brilliant as the sun, it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. That is, Bhagavatam is accompanied by religion and knowledge and many other aspects. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. So very clearly it is said. In this dense darkness, age of Kali, where ignorance is prominent, people can get light from this Purana. In this purport also Prabhupada very nicely explains. We'll just go through the purport. Lord Shri Krishna has his eternal Dharma or abode where he eternally enjoys himself with his eternal associates and paraphernalia. And his eternal abode is a manifestation of his internal energy, whereas the material world is a manifestation of his external energy. When he descends on the material world, he displays himself with all paraphernalia in his internal potency, which is called Atma Maya. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that he descends by his own potency, Atma Maya. In his form, name, fame, paraphernalia, abode, etc. are not, therefore, creations of matter. He descends to reclaim the fallen souls and to re-establish codes of religion which are directly enacted by him. Except for God, no one can establish the principles of religion. Either he or a suitable person empowered by him can dictate the codes of religion. So, very beautifully Prabhupada is explaining here how the Lord has an abode, and that abode is not made of material elements. It is completely spiritual. All the paraphernalia, everything is spiritual. And it is created by his Atma Maya. In Bhagavad Gita also, in the 9th chapter, Krishna says that he descends with his own potency. Sambhavami Atma Maya. His form, name, fame, paraphernalia, adobe, etc. are not therefore creations of matter. And he descends to reclaim the fallen souls and to re-establish the codes of religion which are directly enacted by him. The Lord himself has directly enacted all those codes and religious principles. And to re-establish it, again he comes. Except for God, no one can establish the principles of religion. Either he or a suitable person empowered by him can dictate the codes of religion. This is most important. No one can dictate the codes of religion except God or his representative. Real religion means to know God, our relation with him and our duties in relation with him, and to know ultimately our destination after leaving this material body. So Prabhupada is explaining what is dharma. Real religion, dharma, means to know God, to know about God, our relation with God, and our duties in relation with God, and to know ultimately our destination after leaving this material body. This is real dharma. The conditioned souls who are entrapped by the material energy hardly knows all these principles of life. Most of them are like animals engaged in eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating. They are mostly engaged in sense enjoyment under the pretension of religiosity, knowledge, or salvation. So, conditioned soul are mostly in the material consciousness are engaged in animalistic way of life, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. They are mostly engaged in sense enjoyment under the pretension of religiosity, knowledge, or salvation. They are still more blind in the present age of quarrel or Kali Yuga. In the Kali Yuga, the population is just a royal edition of the animals. So strong word Prabhupada uses. In Kali Yuga, the population is just a royal edition of animals. They have nothing to do with spiritual knowledge or godly religious life. They have nothing to do. They don't care. They don't want to accept, they don't want to follow. They are so blind that they cannot see anything beyond the jurisdiction of the subtle mind. Intelligence or ego. They are so blind that they cannot see anything beyond the jurisdiction of the subtle mind, intelligence, or ego. They cannot see anything beyond their thoughts, their intelligence, and their ego, that is false ego. But they are very much proud of their advancement in knowledge, science, and material prosperity. So much advancement you have done in materially, so much technology. So they are proud of it. They can risk their lives to become a dog or hog just after leaving the present body, for they have completely lost sight of ultimate aim of life. They know everything that is happening around them materially. But about their own self, they do not know anything. They are completely lost sight of the ultimate aim of life. The personality of Godhead Sri Krishna appeared before us just a little prior to the beginning of Kali Yuga and returned to his eternal home practically at the commencement of Kali Yuga. Just before Kali Yuga started, the Lord appeared and disappeared from the mortal world. While he was present, he exhibited everything by his different activities. He spoke the Bhagavad Gita specifically and eradicated all the pretentious principles of religiosity. So, Bhagavad Gita is giving the knowledge of or eradicating the knowledge of pretentious principles of religiosity. Those are pretending to be religious. It is eradicating those knowledge. And prior to his departure from this material world, he empowered Sri Vyasadeva through Narada to compile the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. And thus, both the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam are like torch bearers for the blind people of this age. So the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam are the torch bearers for the blind people of this age. Just previous statement, Prabhupada said, pretentious religiosity. People think the body is all in all. And activities pertaining to the body is the real religion. Do good to the others. Be kind to all. Of course, we should be that, but not on the bodily platform. It should come in higher level. When we see from the soul platform, the same activity also. What is Krishna consciousness? We are preaching and making people to become Krishna conscious. For what? For the kind of the people, for their own benefit. It is not that Krishna consciousness is something different. No, we are also saying the same thing. But we are saying on the platform of soul. And they see, visualize only on the platform of body. So that is what a pretentious religious system, pretending to be religious system, that is doing good to the body, doing good to the other living entities and all those things. But in actually, what the knowledge Bhagavad Gita is giving is to do good for the soul. What knowledge given in Bhagavatam is to do good for the soul. And thus both the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam are like torch bearers for the blind people of this age. In other words, if men in this age of Kali want to see the real light of life, they must take to these two books only, and their aim of life will be fulfilled just by absorbing the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and lead a life according to those principles. The aim of life will be fulfilled. Bhagavad Gita is the preliminary study of the Bhagavatam, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the summum bonum of life. Lord Shri Krishna Srimad Bhagavatam is the summum bonum of life, Lord Shri Krishna personified. We must therefore accept Srimad Bhagavatam as the direct representation of Lord Krishna. So even after Lord departed, the Lord is there still in the age of Kali to establish the religious principles in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. One who can see Srimad Bhagavatam can see also Lord Krishna in person. They are identical. One who can see Srimad Bhagavatam, usually we read Bhagavatam, but Prabhupada is telling one who can see Bhagavatam. One who can see means one who reads and follows it and applies in its life. At every step, he is seeing Bhagavatam. Whatever activity he does according to the principles given in the Bhagavatam. So that is, he is seeing Bhagavatam. And one who can see Bhagavatam can see Lord Krishna. So very beautiful purport. So Dharma is actually there in this, is protected by Srimad Bhagavatam, is preached by Srimad Bhagavatam. That is the purport of this verse. Any questions? ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय।